Hi everyone, this is my second video with Haley Panchatantra. If you haven't seen the deck build video or my first playthrough with it, be sure to do so. I'll assume that you have watched them already, so I don't need to explain how this deck works. Today I'm playing up against Hasbiroid, not ETF though. Surprisingly, I'm up against Cybernetics Division. So once again, I'm up against a deck that's trying to kill me. This time not with meat damage, but with something else altogether. Let's see how things go. I keep my opening hand here because it has two card draw mechanisms, Diesel and Earthrise. So that's pretty decent. A first click Diesel is always nice. It's kind of like being in a helicopter. You get a bird's eye view of everything, and from here you can pick the best move to take. So looking at my hand, which two cards should I install to trigger Haley's ability? I could do resources. There are 3 resources in my hand and there are 2 sharpshooters. So the sharpshooters are not that important now because I'm not intent on running servers yet and I don't have Panchatantra anyway. So the resources are going to be what I'm going to use to trigger Haley's ability. The 2 most important resources are money and card draw. So Earthrise and Pawn Shop go down onto the table. Now here I make a mistake. I should have installed the Film Critic instead of the sharpshooter. Film Critic is irrelevant against HB, so I should have installed the Film Critic so I could pawn it next turn. I don't want to pawn my sharpshooter. It is my breaker after all. So this turn, I'm forced to click for credits because I don't have anything better to install, but I'm still able to leverage on Haley's ability by installing Scheherazade followed by Sharpshooter on Scheherazade, which costs no money. He shows me a Melange, which is curious. I thought that would be defective brain chips for sure. Instead, it's a Melange, so this actually gives me quite a bit of time to set up. I don't mind, he can get all the credits he wants. They are not going to be very useful when I'm breaking all your Janus's for free. Janus, what if you want to call it. Yeah, Janus is the proper pronunciation, sorry about that. So I finally get the Film Critic on the table because I finally realized I can pawn it, and now I get my Street Peddler. I just install it here without triggering Haley's ability. It's good to trigger Haley's ability as often as you can, but don't push yourself to do so if it means making suboptimal plays. At the same time, you really should plan out your entire turn in advance instead of playing it click by click. As you see here, my first click was install Street Peddler, second click was draw into cash. Looking at my hand, I would love to install both Deus Ex and cash using Haley's ability, but I can't because I've already used Haley's trigger on the Peddler. So if I had drawn first, and assuming I do draw the cash, then I can play cash Deus Ex, followed by the Peddler and still have 1 click left to spare. In this case, however, I cannot. So I do have to play the cash from my hand. I'm forced to do so because of Cybernetics Division's ability, which I haven't talked too much about yet. It is quite annoying playing with a 4-card hand size because it makes hand management so difficult. I want the 2 RNDIs, I'm not throwing them away anytime soon, but Deus Ex is important and Levy is important as well. Now I'm getting good money because I'm seeing all my cashes early, and this is more like it. I draw twice, I see cash, I install cash with Deus Ex, and with my last click I'm going to install Astrolabe. So this is good. This is very, very efficient. Using Haley so often allows me to get set up very quickly, but I still cannot run any of his servers because I haven't seen a Panchatantra yet. Now he plays Mushin, it's a trap, it's an agenda, it's a Ronin, who knows? Only one way to find out, so I'm going to run. But it could be a Junebug, so I'm going to double draw first. Double draw, very good. Now I can run server 2. What do I see? It's Cerebral Operator! Ow, 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 ow! Yuck. The good news is, he left my 2 RNDIs intact, so I do have that route to victory. Albeit a really difficult one because I do not have a single agenda yet. Now my max hand size is 1, so I can only keep 1 levy in hand at a time. So here, I double draw, I play the clone chips, I have 1 click left, I have nothing better to do but to take a credit. This is bad. So you see how hand management becomes infinitely more difficult when your hand size is so low. I couldn't draw last click because that would force me to pitch a card. Yeah, I was forced to make a suboptimal play, which is clicking for credits. I don't need to be clicking for credits at this point. I need to be running. I need to start using up my breakers. So here I test run for the Panchatantra, installing the cash in the process. Haley's ability is really good that way. Both of them go on Scheherazade to reduce the cost, and this means that I can actually attack him next turn. Now, if you're being astute, you might notice that there is an illegal game state here. I test ran the Panchatantra, but it didn't return back to the top of my deck. This is because I then hosted on Scheherazade and it lost the memory of being test run. So this is a bug in the game, and both of us did not actually realize this. So I'm very sorry because worked out to my advantage. I didn't realize it until I just edited this video, but the Panchatantra should be on the top of my stack. I should have to pay 1 more click and 2 more credits, actually 2 more clicks considering that I have to draw it, in order to get the first Panchatantra into play. So, it doesn't matter because he plays a motion here and attempts to flatline me. I'm still going to run it and I find the mandatory upgrades. I knew he wouldn't put 2 traps in a row. Well, because if you realize, he hasn't actually been playing anything from his hand yet. He hasn't been using Jackson Howard, he hasn't been scoring agendas. This means that his hand is probably incredibly flooded with agendas. So firstly, the chances of him trying to get an agenda out at this point is high, and more importantly, I really want to see that legwork. Haven't found it yet, hopefully I'll find it soon. Melange goes in a bit. I play my second Panchatantra here. And I finally kill his Melange, not only to stop him from getting any more credits, but more importantly, to free up memory so that I can play double Panchatantra. Now, the test run mistake aside, I drew into my deep digging tools at long last because I end legwork, and I immediately legwork his hand, finding a Jackson Howard, which I'm gonna bin, and 2 Vitruviuses. I bin the Jackson Howard because I do not want him to hyper-draw into agendas to fast advance with Media Blitz. So that was a huge haul from me, bringing me from 2 to 6 points. I'm now at match point and my opponent's nowhere near victory yet, unless he can flatline me somehow. He goes for the Media Blitz, that's fine. Now I want to make use of my Maker's Eye to get 5 agendas, 5 card access in one go. Hopefully that closes out the game. Unfortunately, R&D is 3 deep. I only have 2 Panchatantras. I could take a risk running R&D at this point, and I think I do. This is because if any of his eyes is either Tracer, Bioroid, or AP or Destroyer, I can save 1 use of Panchatantra by clicking through it or tracing through it, or in this case the next gold, breaking it with either Sharpshooter or Deus Ex without using Panchatantra. So having next gold on the outermost piece of ice actually makes my life really easy. So now I have 2 Panchatantras to use and 2 more eyes to encounter. The first is a Viper. I could break it with a Sharpshooter, but before I do so, I'm worried that I'll run out of money. So what I do right here is to trigger Haley's ability, using Clone Chip to install cash and installing a Deus Ex on top of that. So this will give me the 2 breakers I need to get through the server, and then I use a Sharpshooter to get past the Viper. Last one turns out to be Silver. I use Deus Ex to get through that one. Now at this point, I should be using Clone Chip to get another Deus Ex out in case I hit a snare, but I don't care. I ran through, I found the winning mandatory upgrades. Poor Haley. I feel so sorry for her. She clearly has been studying too much, reading about all the stars. Right now she's seeing stars. She took 3 brain damage. She's all but brain dead right now, but at least she pulled out the win. That being said, I don't think this was a very good showing. If you notice early on, I allowed my opponent to get 2 whole Melange ticks off. Sure, they didn't do much for my opponent at all, but against a more aggressive cooperation that attempts to score breaking news followed by flatline or maybe Astro Train out, this deck does not hold water at all. Because by the time you've assembled your combo, they are well and truly ahead of the game. That being said, the combo is not that bad. Look at the screen here. All I need is a breaker, either Deus Ex or Sharpshooter, which is 1 of 5 cards, 6 if you count the test run. You need a Panchatantra, 3 copies in my deck, 4 if you count the test run that can be used to tutor it, and finally a Legwork. The Legwork is the key card here. It's a card that's very unexpected in Haley because you don't really expect HQ pressure, but the Legwork usually seals the game because it usually fetches 4 agenda points as it did this game. I like this Breaker Suite a lot because it makes you unkillable. Deus Ex protects you against net damage, and Plus Creep protects you against meat damage. Sure, I got hit by basically the only form of damage that I could possibly take, which is brain damage. But hey, even 1 Overwriter is not enough to kill me, and clearly this shows you can win the game even on 1 max hand size. Haley is a very smart kid. Don't try to mess with her brain. My access luck was very good this game. With 8 random accesses, plus the mandatory upgrades that I stole from his Mushin remote, I really won the game. 8 accesses. That is really good. That being said, I knew his hand was right for the picking. That's why I went for the legwork, and that's what won me the game. You can't just assume every access is 0.4 agenda points, because in the beginning few turns of the game, especially when the opponent hasn't seen Jackson for a long time. Legwork is a very high value play that will give you. It's a plus EV play basically. In other words, it's really good, and drastically in this case, drastically reduces the number of accesses you need to win the game. It made it very easy for me. All I needed to do was to do a big Hail Mary run on R&D to see 5 cards and give me a almost guaranteed shot of winning the game by top decking the final agenda, which I did. So this wraps up the entire Haley deck series for the weekend. If you find this deck concept interesting, or simply want to try a different Panchatantra combo, away from the standard gingerbread Panchatantra shenanigans that most people are gravitating towards, do try it out. It's actually pretty interesting, quite a lot of fun to play, and once again, just like Faust, breaks all the rules of Netrunner by allowing you to slice through ice like Swiss cheese. That's the way Netrunner is today. Deal with it. Thanks for watching. Happy Netrunning. Goodbye.